Welcome to the True Hunt, and today's maritime story is on salvage operation in ship. For that, we have got two experts with us from the industry. Number one, Seva, who is a member of Lloyd panel of special casualty representatives, salvage consultant, managing director at Vmax Marine in Singapore. And also, if we talk about his past experience, he has worked as a senior salvage master, project manager, regional operations manager at SMIT Salvage Singapore, Netherlands and USA. Apart from that, to discuss on the topic, we have got the experienced person who is all over nowadays in the marine sector, promoting and creating awareness of all the topics in marine sector. We have got Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Welcome both of you to the True Hunt. Namaskar. Thank you so much for joining us. My first question, in layman terms, I want the answer. We'll go with Mr. Seva. That, sir, what is exactly the salvage and why it is called a skilled profession? What is your say on this, please?
Basically, if you go back in history, salvage started in the 1800s. It's coupled with the first man wearing a helmet and going underwater. So the whole idea here on salvage back then is to recover property in the 18th century onward. Obviously, as time went on, and technology improved and vessels got bigger, more powerful, and trading in a faster manner worldwide. So the skill sets now involved in any maritime peril at sea, anywhere around the world, be it remote, is a very specialized field, in particular with salvage contractors. You can imagine now, let's just say we had something in the South Pacific, which is such a remote location. You will have to have a competent salvage contractor and his team to be there at the quickest possible time, and at the same time have available resources wherever they are. So that is what salvage is all about. And if you talk about India, which has 7,500 odd kilometers of coastline, including Nicobar Andaman Islands in the Bay of Bengal and the Lakshadweep Islands in the Arabian Sea, which is all remote, then the resources need to be ready. So that's what salvage is all about, the ability to respond to any maritime peril.
Very well said, sir. I would like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, as sir mentioned about the Lakshadweep and Andaman Nicobar on the remote locations, and they need proper salvage operations and other stuff in case of any emergency. So as Government of India is also now looking forward towards development of Lakshadweep in terms of tourism, etc. So how do you see the salvage operations in a more better way in those areas?
Thank you, Gaurav. Good morning, Captain Seva. Captain Seva is a stalwart in the industry, so he should be able to answer all the other questions. But I am very thankful to you, Gaurav, for doing this maritime awareness thing. And the three aspects which are very important in salvage is that safety of life, safety of environment, and safety of property. In this sequence only. So you see the importance of this operation. Now, as you say, this salvage is an industry. When I say industry, that means it operates in a very structured manner, because these accidents don't happen every day. So there's a lot of, cost involved, capital cost involved in maintaining the equipment, maintaining people, maintaining skill sets of those people and things like that. And it's a very dynamic industry also, because no two accidents are same. No two recovery procedures are same. No two environments are same. You might be able to save the life before the ship sinks. But again, saving environment practice is absolutely different. And this is where Captain Seva, people come, where they assess situation and help. On Indian context, unfortunately, we don't have a salvage operations expertise in India. You might have people as a resource, but if you talk about the resources as to the equipments, I am very sorry that we are draining millions or billions of dollars in inviting salvage companies from abroad and giving them the job. So I would like to request, whether it's Ministry of Shipping or Ministry of National Disaster, since we are preparing so much on our NDRF front, this is also one of the very big calamities, because natural disasters convert these kind of accidents, sinking of ship at the bottom, oil pollution, you name a thing. So these we should be prepared. And I would request that to have a Salvage Commission of India.
Sir, I would like to bring in Seva. Sir mentioned about the environmental impacts of related to the salvage in shipping. So my question to you is, as ship breaking is considered amongst the most dangerous jobs in the world, and in India, what is the safe and sustainable way to dismantle ships? Because you are experienced person in this the processes. So how do you see this?
No, I think, when we talk about ship recycling as an industry, it is totally separate from salvage. But having said that, yes, I've been to Alang. I've seen what is being done there. And compared to the past record 20 years ago to what the ship's recycling standards are these days, it has to be regulated. It has to be monitored towards the entire process from breakup to the processing of recycling the materials from the vessel. There is always room for improvement. And, we should use the European standards as a yardstick and set a benchmark for recycling. The training of personnel, the recruitment of people, the education of people is very, very important.
I would like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, as Sir talked about the making rules and regulations, and from the Indian perspective, we have got Rex and Salvage Rule 1974. Sir, how it has been implemented, and as you have been a part of industry, so could you comment on that how this rule has been followed by the shipping industry in terms of salvage I'm talking?
Thank you for the question. To put it very boldly as a sentence to capture attention, all these acts India has drawn out of British acts, and they all need to be scrapped, including Merchant Shipping Act. Why I'm saying this boldly? Because this is a time that we are being indigenous professionals. We must come out with the situations. They are so dynamic, technology driven. We can come out with our own kind of acts which will help our country. I mean, any act and rule is made to help business, not vice versa. Business should not be helping, act. So whether it's Merchant Shipping Act or any wreck removal acts, the wreck removal act has got such a primitive thing it is. The entire thing has changed now. There are so many wrecks around the Indian coast which are not being claimed. Recently, one of the PMI clubs was banned in India because they did not recover. They did not exist. They existed with table and chair. So we need to have those regulatory reforms. First of all, how to approve this kind of bodies, because this is the responsibility of PMI Club to remove the wreck. And as you spoke about ship breaking, I want to add something to that. You see, any action when you operate in the environment, any action which will damage the environment has to be thoroughly regulated. Whether you take European standard, Hong Kong Convention, anything, whether it's shipbreaking, salvage, recovery of property, and disposal of the recovered assets, all these need to be, put into the parameters of damage to environment. Unless we do this very holistically, not just one-off incident, very holistically looking at all the scenarios, we would not be able to get there where we want to. And as a sustainability professional, I would insist upon having this rewritten by the maritime professionals.
Sir, I'd like to bring in Seva, sir. Sir, my question to you is, why is it often said that the shore-based authorities' requirements and direction of salvage operation can mean longer and more complex jobs? So it was a statement. So how do you justify it, sir?
You see, the reason for such a statement being made is purely because they do not have the experience or the guidance that is needed. So they are under pressure, because when you have a salvage incident or a maritime peril, where you can imagine that, fuel oil is leaking out, the beaches are getting dirty, the marine life is affected, birds are soaked in oil. So there's a lot of national pressure from environmentalists, from the locals who are living in that area, and it just spreads out to such a broad spectrum. So now they are trying to manage expectations. So everybody's got their little requirement, and that becomes a problem.
I'd like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, your quick words on the same question, please.
Just to add to this, you see, everybody's job is different. Salvage company wants to remove it as soon as possible. That's fine. Environment wants also to be removed fast. Now, this is what I said, decision making is very important. For a state like country, the national security is first, paramount. They need to see whether it is a legal thing first. So I just share experience. Just about 5 days back, we had to transport a dead body of a seaman from Dubai to Bombay. Now, Dubai is a very elaborated process, because, there are malicious intent of people. Somebody is dead, they'll put some afi. So when the body came to India, Indian government this time, there was a side practice about 3-4 months back, something like that. They had to again reopen the thing and see what is inside. The family was feeling very brutally dishonored. Already postmortem is done, body is opened up so much. Why are you again, doing it? But no, you have the intent. People might sink some ships which keep them underneath for 5 years, then recover those drugs or recover those, precious metal from there after 5 years. So this is how the decision making has to be prompt. Analysis of this thing is very important. government. If government can do it quickly, know it, like he rightly said about the experience and expertise. Once you know how to analyze the wreck.
Very rightly said, sir. And of course, when the national security comes, then nothing can be compromised. Sir, my next question to you, I'll bring in V Seva, sir. That are the commercial pressures, the unpredictable nature of business, and the decline in the number of salvage cases making investment in equipment and vessels difficult? You talked in the beginning about the investment in this sector and other stuff. So, how do you see this question, sir?
Salvage cases have always been there. The main problem is the various contract form. It's now turned into more towards commercial contracts versus the Lloyd's open form contract, where there's a no cure, no pay, but best endeavors, which is the easiest in any emergency response. Underwriters are trying, P&I clubs and hull and machinery clubs are willing to sign, but there are times when owners also take a step back. I think most important, if you talk about preparedness for an incident, you need to have a national body at the top. And, you have subcontractors, you have various contractors locally. And one of the ways I feel, having done various salvage jobs off the coast of India, and mind you, even in the offshore sector, is also issues. Everybody talks about shipping, but if you have a jack-up rig that flips over while drilling, say in Mumbai High, that's an incident as well. So that's also a requirement. So all being equal, if you look at it sensibly, you need to have, my personal thought, the involvement of the Indian Coast Guard. The Indian Coast Guard is the fourth largest Coast Guard in the world. 152 ships, 78 aircrafts, and growing, and indigenously built. Now, they are responsible for the economic zone offshore, right up to the economic zone. And like many other countries, if you look like in the United States or even in the UK, it is the Coast Guard who is the ultimate authority. So I think personally, if you had an authority like the Indian Coast Guard and having interaction, because Indian Coast Guard is also very commercial savvy. They deal with civilian contractors.
They do.
And they have that flair of understanding.
Very well said, sir. Of course, Indian Coast Guard is always doing some commendable work, and recently also with the rescue operations, it is always on the toes. Sir, I'd like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, my question to you, this is in relation to our India. Sir, I would like to ask you that I was going through a report which talks about from the international and Indian perspective, have we started thinking along the lines of building ships using environmental friendly material? Of course, when we are dealing with the salvage in ships and dismantling the shipping body, so are we thinking in this direction also?
The answer to this is the entire shipping industry is thinking about it and already was working on it, because green technology is something which is also entering into shipbuilding very big way. India does not have much of a high order book like China has, so the onus of that implementation is lesser on us. However, it does not stop us from thinking of using those technologies which will have a lesser impact in case the eventuality happens of an accident and a sinkage and becoming a wreck of a ship. So having said that, there are multiple measures being taken by the government at this point in time. Cochin Shipyard is leading this entire exercise of building the environmentally friendly ships with friendly material. Like as far as this thing is concerned, from long time, use of asbestos is banned now on the ship as an insulation material. I mean, of course, this industry also is evolving. So every day we also don't know what is the impact of all the materials which are being used on board vessels.
I would like to bring in V Seva, sir. Sir, as you have seen the industry closely, in India, we have seen some companies working in the name of marine salvage companies, which I've gone through the list without naming those companies. Sir, I would like to ask you, are they finding it difficult to run the salvage operations in India? Because it has been seen in the conversations that we are hiring salvage services from the countries abroad. So how do you see this, and what would you like to say on this?
On this perspective, it is the decision of the hull and machinery underwriters to involve a professional salvo or international professional salvo, given the certain magnitudes of the case. But having said that, it's the type of premiums the owners are having or insurance packages the owners are having. So if you have a fixed premium P&I club or hull and machinery, obviously they would like to have a local player because it becomes a bit more cost effective. Having said that, they will engage a guy like me to oversee whether the local contractor is doing it in a safe, efficient manner, which will resonate into a successful salvage. But then you will have the issue of, and I've seen this happen, where I asked if these contractors have a salvage liability insurance in place to safeguard themselves because they hire third-party assets to, for example, a tugboat or a barge or a crane barge. And if something happens, then, their insurance will take place. So there are players, there are professional players, but there are also players who are supporting international salvage companies. Without them, the local player, the international salvage companies are also having a problem. So they do have their own network. The way I look at it is about progressive expertise or transfer of knowledge and recognition to be given to the local salvage contractor, which can be done. And I've seen a few competent salvage contractors, and there are very, very committed Indian nationals towards this industry, extremely committed. So it is possible, it will happen, but they need the support on a national level, on a government level, that this needs to be done.
Rightly said. Sir, I'd like to bring in Captain Gajanan Karanjikar. Sir, same question to you. What would you like to say on this?
Yeah, even I have seen those companies. These companies are also listed on India Mart. So I think, when you can find something on India Mart with a complex operation like Salvage, I mean, you don't have to speak anything more about it. I think these companies are there, existing in India. I think they might be working as brokers for the foreign establishment. As far as the capacity of, controlling a salvage operation of, new diamond kind of a scale, India really lacks. And in national interest, it should be a national security thing. Why should I depend on somebody else? I, as a country, should develop this capacity, hire professionals, and make a national salvage commission.
Sir, my one-liner to you is, when a thing exists, that means there is a need, especially I'm talking about from the Indian perspective. So what do you think about giving birth to an Indian salvage union, indigenously made in India? How do you think about that, sir?
So union can be made when you have many, many companies which require representation. I am talking about making a salvage commission of India, which will not require a union. Union is something that group of companies, group of people who takes the single point agenda to the government. I am saying government should get involved in making a national salvage commission.
Okay, I'd like to bring in Seva, sir. Sir, your last words on this, the same question.
Vmax Marine is a member of the International Salvage Union. The purpose of the Salvage Union is basically it's an intermediary between the salvage contractor, the underwriters, and maybe local authority. So it is very much affiliated in terms of the UK underwriting market. I've seen a growth in Indian underwriters now coming up very, very fast, and it's going to stratospheric levels the way I look at it, with the number of Indian vessel owners and marine assets. So the Indian marine underwriter now is being recognized. What needs to be done is the Indian Marine Underwriting Association, I'm sure you have that, needs to interact with the International Salvage Union because of their liabilities at stake. And that will draw up that sort of a line of communication where Indian underwriters also understand what it takes to do a salvage job. Because the Indian underwriter right now sometimes are lacking that. There have been many cases where they don't know what to do. But by participating in the various conventions through the International Salvage Union, they will have a better understanding. And that is very, very important. Like Captain Gajanan has clearly said, it's about protecting the environment and making your coast clear. Because if there is an expansion of the coast that's needed and you have got wrecks that have been abandoned there, who's going to pay for the cost for these wrecks? So this is where it needs to start now, where underwriters are also held to be responsible on behalf of owners. Owners needs to take responsibility, of course, of having their insurance in place at the onset and not lapse and try to operate vessels. And I know in the Indian government, DG Shipping, they are very, very strict now that any vessel entering Indian waters will have to have all their insurance in place and prove them before gaining the clearance in.
Very well said, sir. This was Captain Gajanan Karanjikar and V Seva discussing about the salvage in ship.
नमस्कार, आप देख रहे हैं The True Hunt, for the people, by the people.